ancient soil. He loaded the bag onto the back of a mule-drawn cart, the Mexican driver waiting patiently while he leapt up to sit on the floor and prepared to leave, his legs dangling down as he reached across for his stationery box. He opened the wooden box, checked that he'd collected all his pens, sturdy German writing instruments, each filled with a different coloured ink. He liked the heft of the pens, the flow of the ink, the narrow threads of colour that issued from the pin-like point onto the heavy mapping paper. Michael Clifton might sometimes have been thought an impulsive young man, anxious to make his mark, but he knew his business, and he was nothing if not a diligent cartographer. In Santa Ynez, Michael transferred his equipment and personal effects to a large carriage for the journey into Santa Barbara. From there, he could telegraph his father that he was on his way, but would save the good news for later, when he was home. He wanted to see the look on Edward Clifton's face when he told him of his discovery. He wanted to experience the joy and pride in person. For now, he would check into the Arlington Hotel. The Clifton name alone meant a suite would be made available. Bathe the dust from his skin, and then he would buy himself the biggest steak he could find in town. He might walk along the beach, smell that crisp Pacific air once more, before boarding a California Pacific train bound for San Francisco tomorrow, and from there to the East Coast, along the Transcontinental Railroad. Then, before you knew it, he would be home. But he would return soon to this place. Yes, he would be back, and this new Clifton Corporation would be his. It was the newsboy outside the hotel who caught his attention. "Read all about it! Read all about it! Britain goes to war! Kaiser to fight whole world! Read all about it!" Pulling a handful of coins from his pocket, Michael bought a newspaper and began reading as he made his way through the hotel foyer. He signed the guest register, only marginally aware of what he was writing and where. He nodded upon receiving the key to his rooms, and continued reading as the bellhop struggled with his belongings. Once in the suite, he slumped down in a chair, looking up only to press a few cents into the boy's palm. It had come as no surprise to his family that Michael Clifton chose to become a cartographer. He had loved maps since childhood, drawn to the mystery of lands far away, fascinated by the names of places and the promise he saw held within a map. "You always know where you are with a map," he told his parents, while persuading them of his choice of profession. "And if you know where you are, why, you're more likely to be brave, to have an adventure, to search beyond where everyone else is looking. Think of what I could do for the company." His father had laughed, seeing through the subtle entreaty. Yet Michael was right. It had been good for the company to have a man in the family business who could read the land. You knew where you were with family. And as Edward had told his children time and again, you knew where your money was when it was in land. But what Michael never even tried to explain was the sense of wonder that came with a map. For each one told a story, and he, the surveyor and cartographer, was the storyteller, the translator, the guide to places a person might never otherwise see. He could tame a forest, prairie, or wilderness with a few strokes of his pen. And he had a knack for finding nature's buried treasures. It had taken no time at all for Michael to make his decision. Before leaving his rooms, he copied precise details from the maps and land documents into a small leather-bound notebook, adding sketches, carefully marking those places where drilling should begin. That the valley held oil deposits was without question. William Orcutt, the surveyor for Union Oil, had the coast and much of the valley all but sewn up. Yet to know exactly where to tap into the riches took an expert eye. Some said you had to touch the land to know, that a man who knew where to sink his shovel could hear oil rumbling in the earth. His task complete, and with a series of maps rolled and placed in a leather tube along with the original title